Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Maria Laura and I make functional ceramics for interior design. In this channel I talk about my life as an artist, I talk about business, career, finances, creativity, glazes, clay and everything in between. This video is part of the Glaze series, and in this video I share top 10 must-have ingredients that you should buy if you want to start mixing your own glazes. Of course, there's a lot of materials. Of course, depending on which glazes you wanted to mix, those ingredients are gonna vary. But the ingredients that I picked, they cover the basic elements, the basic foundations of every glaze. And if you buy those, this will be enough to cover the most important parts of the glaze. Of course, there is more. There's stains that you can use for colorants. There's different oxides that you can use to color your glaze. I do not include those into my list because I personally almost never use them, versus if you always make a blue glaze, you probably will have to buy a specific ingredient that will be responsible for blue glaze. Whether I'm working on a matte glaze or textured glaze or any of the lava glazes, and feel free to watch my previous videos on the lava glazes, as well as feel free to join my course on textures and ceramics, where I talk about how I create glazes, how I create textures in my work, and lots of other fun stuff. Whether I make a matte glaze or textured glaze or any other glaze, this is my to-go list. Those are literally the ingredients that I use almost every time, and I use most of these specific ones. The rest, yes, you can buy for variety or for testing different materials or for colors, but these are the foundation. And we begin with, I brought them all here, and I'm gonna show you the little buckets in which they're located. This is how I store my glazes for testing. As you can see, it's a plastic bucket. I'm not gonna open it because it's powder, but it's really easy to open, really easy to close, really easy to store, waterproof, perfect, and really easy to get the ingredient out of it. So I'd highly recommend storing it in the bucket instead of storing it in a paper bag in which normally the ingredients are sold. Based on the size of the bucket, you will know how much I normally use the ingredients. If it's a small bucket, then I use less of. If it's a bigger one, I use more of. So the first ingredient that is a must-have ingredient, as you probably already saw, is silica. Silica is one of the very important parts of the glaze. It's a glass former. This is what makes the glass. So this is the foundation of every single glaze. If you don't have specifically silica in your recipe, that probably means that there is silica somewhere else, because this is what the glaze is. Obviously, there are some absolutely crazy glazes that don't have any of this, but I'm not going to be talking about it because that's probably not what you're making when you first start making glazes. Without silica, a glaze wouldn't really be a glaze. So silica is the ingredient number one. The ingredient number two, and you see it's a bigger bucket because I do use a lot more of it, is the source of alumina. It's the EPK. EPK stands for Edgar Plastic Kaolin, and this is a type of kaolin. It's a type of clay, and what clay does, it stiffens the glaze. It makes sure that the glaze sticks on the walls of the pots. So EPK is the ingredient number two, must-have ingredient that I would buy for sure if I were to want to make my own glazes, which I do. There are other alternatives to the EPK, including Grolleg, OM4, ball clay. There's lots and lots of those, but EPK is the most common, the cheapest, and really good to use. The next ingredient on my list that I recently ran out of, so I got more, it's really heavy, has a really cool name. It's called nepheline cyanide. I'm not going to be holding it, sorry, so I'm going to put it down. It's a lot. It's a feldspathoid. A feldspathoid is similar to feldspar. That means it has a specific amount of flux, and it also has silica and alumina. This specific flux is really strong. There's an alkali metal flux. That means it's a source of sodium and potassium. There's obviously other feldspars we can use. There's castor feldspar, minspar, potash. There's lots and lots of different feldspars, but nepheline cyanide just has such a beautiful name that I cannot use potash. I think nepheline cyanide sounds prettier. But honestly, it's just convenient, it's available, it's accessible, it's cheap. Number three, nepheline cyanide. Number four must-have ingredient is whiting. Whiting is also a flux. In general, why do we need fluxes? We need fluxes to melt alumina and silica. They cannot melt without those fluxes, without nepheline cyanide, without whiting. Whiting is a really good source of calcium, and calcium is one of the types of fluxes that we use. It gives really nice and stable surfaces. It goes really well with mason stains. It's just very common in a lot of different recipes. There are alternatives to this. There is bone ash, there is dolomite, and lots of other ingredients, but whiting is still number 4 on my list. Oh no. The next ingredient is strontium carbonate. It fell off because it rained, and thankfully everything is dry on the inside, but I definitely need to glue the stickers a little bit better, because once they fall off, as you can see, all the powders are white. I have no idea what's inside, so I definitely need to mark it a little bit better. But this one, so far, I know that this is strontium carbonate, and this is another of alkaline earth fluxes, of RO flux. Whiting was the first one, strontium is the second one. This is also a really nice flux, gives a very specific type of texture, and this is number 5 on my list of must-have ingredients for your at-home glaze making. Barium carbonate. Barium carbonate is the next alkaline earth metal flux, and it's also considered to be an RO flux. It is toxic, so be careful. People don't like using it in foodware, because some people believe it's not considered to be food safe, others believe that it is, that there's no evidence that it's toxic, but it is toxic if you eat it directly. So don't eat it, don't inhale it, just use it in a glaze and then fire it. Barium creates really beautiful colors. It really takes on colors so well. Barium carbonate is one of the fluxes that is also a must-have ingredient on my list. So, number 6, barium carbonate. Next ingredient on my list is zinc oxide. Zinc oxide is another flux, another alkaline earth metal flux. So it's also a type of flux that creates specific textures. If you haven't watched my videos on puffy glazes, this is one of the ingredients in those glazes that creates very beautiful puff marshmallow glazes. So zinc oxide, beautiful textures. It's also one of the ingredients inside the crawl or lichen glazes, so a really good one to use. Number 7, zinc oxide. Ingredient number 8, magnesium carbonate. This one I can hold really well because it's not as heavy. Mag carb, or magnesium carbonate. It's not as heavy because it's very, very fluffy. Some people don't like it because it changes the viscosity, the specific gravity and the thickness of the glaze really easily, and it's just not convenient. But I honestly love how fluffy it is. I don't know why, but I'm a fan. Magnesium carbonate is also an alkali metal flux. It's an RO flux. It's also responsible for different textures. I will post at some point the textures that I get with magnesium carbonate, but it's also part of the very common crawls and lichens. Very important ingredient. Ingredient number 8 on my must-have list is magnesium carbonate. The next ingredient on my list, ingredient number 9, is ferrofrit 3134. There's lots and lots of ferrofrits. Ferrofrits are basically ready glazes, ready to fire at very, very low cone. But what they do, they melt the glaze even more. So if you want to reduce the temperature from cone 10 to cone 6, you'll probably use ferrofrit. If you want to reduce the temperature even more, ferrofrit is your friend. It's a source of boron, and it's also a source of all the other different materials like silica, alumina, calcium. Depending on the frit, of a number of frits, it's going to have different proportions of each. This one is just very common for glaze recipes. Again, some people like it, some people don't like it. I just keep using it in my recipes, so it's going to be a little bit of a process to switch if I wanted to use 3124 or any other frits. So this one is the frit of my choice. It's the number 9 must-have ingredient on my list, ferrofrit 3134. Then I have to carry all of those buckets back somehow. It's also dusty, like glazes in general. And the last ingredient, titanium dioxide. This is the ingredient number 10 on my list of top 10 must-have ingredients if you want to start mixing your own glazes. Titanium dioxide, a really, really fun ingredient. It's considered to be an opacifier. That means that small particles are suspended in the glaze and they reflect the light. So it's going to be adding to the white color in theory. It also creates really cool textures and cool effects like crystallization, phase separation. It adds to the viscosity and to the stiffness of the glaze for lava glazes, which is super important. And in general, I think it's a really fun ingredient. So I use it all the time in my glazes, and I'd recommend you buying this as well. So number 10 must-have ingredient is titanium dioxide. Of course, if you've never made your own glaze, all of those sound like Chinese. That's totally okay. If you made your own glazes and if you used other ingredients, that's also okay. It just depends on your practice, depends on what you want to be making, which glazes you find on Glaze to make. I prefer to use those. I use those most of the time. They're pretty cheap, they're accessible. There's only 10 of those. I probably use another maybe 2 or 3 ingredients on a constant basis, but most of my glazes are formulated just based on these ingredients. And it's really not a lot. I think I intentionally limited the list of ingredients for myself because this way I can test the variables properly and I can limit the number of different tests that I have to create because I only have 10 ingredients that I mostly use. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not started mixing your own glazes, I'd highly recommend it to you. If you haven't watched my video about how to start mixing your own glazes, feel free to watch it right here. I also have a bunch of different reviews. I post my tests and recipes on Patreon. You can see the link below. I also have an online course where you can learn the basics of different techniques of how you create textures for your ceramics, including wild clay, sand, different aggregates, as well as how I calculate my glazes, how I adjust my glazes, how I adjust my lava glazes and lichen glazes, and the application techniques as well. So feel free to follow me and stay tuned. I hope to see you in the next video. Subscribe, follow, share, and have fun with your glazes.